That is only, rule of thumb that they use here. If you look at here, what is the appropriate level here? And there's no clear answer. Some argue between 25% and 50% of the average wage. Okay, but the key is, remember what I said earlier. The key is that it has to be in line with productivity. So if workers becoming more productive, but then the minimum wage is not raised, that is not good. So that's why ideally the minimum wage has to go up along with the labor productivity. Okay. Now, yes, please.
As you said earlier, there are several factors that contribute to the rate of unemployment. I was just curious, will there be any certain limits where the unemployment cannot go further more to the upper level?
I'm not sure about your question. What do you mean by cannot go further? Are you thinking about revolution, or the fall of the country? It's like the fall of the Roman Empire. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I was just.
So what do you mean by?
Let's say if some factors contribute to the rate of unemployment and then pushes the level of unemployment, will there be any certain limit where the unemployment cannot be pushed farther? Like let's say that the country really needs the production level at this certain level so that they cannot unemploy more workers.
Well, in general, the answer is no. There is no limit, and that is the reasons why, in reality, you have a very extreme gap of minimum wage in one country compared to another country. Okay, and you can see this from the unemployment rate. You will see there are some countries with double-digit unemployment rate, but you also see some countries with single-digit unemployment rate. I mentioned to you earlier about Europe. For many years, it's only recently, actually after the global financial crisis, European unemployment rate tends to go down. But before, for decades, it's always double-digit. Okay, whereas the US and many other countries, the unemployment rate is relatively low. So, from the explanation that I gave you earlier, you can estimate, not precisely, but at least you can estimate what happened with the unemployment rate, with the minimum wage, right? But remember, it is not just unemployment rate, price level, and then the Z, the institutional factors. So, the short answer to your question, no, I don't think there is any limit. But the long answer is that you have to look at many other variables. Z, the price level, and what happened with the economy, essentially, okay? If the economy is in a recession, unemployment tends to be very high. And it has nothing to do with the minimum wage, basically. Okay? So there are many factors that you have to think about. I think I have some example of the country with high here. Look at this. On the left-hand side, these are the countries with relatively low unemployment rate. Like in Qatar, only 0.1%. In Cambodia, 0.2%. Belarus, 0.3%. Nigeria. But look at the right-hand side. In Lesotho, 27%. In Palestine, it's 31%. In Swaziland, 22%. In Mozambique, 25%. So, again, this is only sort of early indication that you can use to imagine what is their minimum wage. But only partial, because as I said earlier, you have to look at the price level, you have to look at the Z, what is the institutional factors in those countries and so on. Okay? Now, before I forget, Is there any question? Did I hear microphone is on?
So I have a
Yes.
question. So you say that if you increase the minimum wage too much, then there's a trade-off in which a lot of job losses would occur. So so for countries which already has a high minimum wage, as a policymaker, how would you increase the labor productivity to further improve the output without having to increase the minimum wage, which will result in job losses? I mean, yeah, how would you increase labor?
Okay. That is a good question. Although I will correct slightly your question, because the productivity of the labor, if it is increasing, it doesn't have to be linked to the minimum wage. It has to be linked with the wage level. Forget about minimum wage, okay? But the wage level. So if workers becoming more productive, their wage has to be increasing, even if it is beyond the minimum wage. So we have to distinguish between the actual wage and the minimum wage here, okay? But your question is very good, because raising the labor productivity does not always have to be through the wage, okay? Because it's almost like chicken and egg, right? The example I gave you earlier is that if you raise the minimum wage, people tend to be more productive. But it can be the other way around. If for whatever exogenous reason people becoming more productive, then the wage has to increase, right? So now your question is, what are the factors that can lead to workers becoming more productive? But please do not link with the minimum wage, okay? So your question has to stop onto what are the factors that may make labor becoming more productive. Well, the answer is several. Number one is technology. And I believe 2 weeks from now, the Go will explain the role of technology in macroeconomics and so on. So when, let's say, suppose you have a company, okay, and you hire workers, and your workers' productivity is 100, okay. But now your company decided to modernize by using machinery, okay. With the machinery, the same worker now, they can produce more. With the same worker, okay, they can produce more. So what does that mean? If the same number of workers, but the output is higher, that means the ratio between output over labor will be higher. By definition, that's an improvement in labor productivity. So that is one example. Technology may contribute to it. But in this case, there are many others. When we talk about technology, people always associate it with hardware, like machinery or even robots and so on. But these days, when we talk about technology, we talk about software, okay? AI, for example, using the artificial intelligence, okay? You don't need much hardware, basically, but you need to have better design. Design in terms of the marketing, design in terms of the production, design in terms of the distribution. Anything that is well designed, it can increase the productivity. So a similar story like in the case of using machine compared to before using machine. All of a sudden, the output will increase with the same number of labor. And by definition, that's an improvement in labor productivity. Another last example that it's my favorite example actually, because I saw with my own eyes many things happen in many companies here. Sometimes the working environment matters. You know, I know maybe this is a stupid example. I don't need to mention the name, but I used to work in an institution, okay? And the institution has been well known for, promoting pro-environment, pro-green, okay? So all kinds of work, including research that I've been doing, is promoting the sustainable development. But every day when I go to the office, I don't see any, by the way, this is a high-rise building, okay? I don't see any single plant in the building, small thing plants, So to me, somehow it affects me psychologically, and somehow that will reduce my productivity. I can imagine myself. Suppose they put, it doesn't have to be many, maybe just one plant in each room. Okay, I'm pretty sure I can be more productive. So that's small thing. Okay, and then also about the human relation. If you've been working in a company for 10 years, and your supervisor was really very strict, but also impersonal. So in other words, it's not really personally nice to you. And then all of a sudden, the supervisor was replaced by someone who is very nice to you. Somehow it affects your productivity. So these are all the examples that has nothing to do with hardware. And yet you can put all those examples under the same umbrella, which is improvement in technology. But we are not talking about hardware technology. We are talking about technology in terms of approach, in terms of the system, in terms of the design of the organization, and so on. Am I making myself clear to your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for answering.
Okay.